I don't normally present, I normally have to interpret. All right? My husband really crafted this presentation. He's deaf. He has been deaf all his life. Thankfully, when we met, technology was in place. Otherwise, I would have less brown hair than you're seeing here right now. All right? We had our cell phones. You'd be able to text each other and that sort of thing. So we could have managed, that sort of thing. My husband is a lot more capable than I. He has been to Australia, England, Venezuela, Canada, all kind of place. I only reached Tobago. Right? I only reached Tobago. Right? But sometimes I would say, well, Mommy Brian going to this conference. Niobe, you're going with him? I have 3 children to mine. Right? I was going to go for a week, and when he come back, he will sort out himself. But I have been working with deaf people for about 14 years. I'm a mother of 3 boys. My children must sign for themselves because they do not pay me to talk to their father. Okay? They do not pay me to talk to their father. If you are having a problem, you go and you express yourself to your father and you come back. Right? If this is really important, I will go back and I will assist you. But other than that, you go and talk to your father, please. Now, where I live, everybody is deaf in the adults except for myself. My husband, his mother, his father, his sister's boyfriend. I am the only hearing adult, so this is the first time I'm talking for the day. Right? It's the first time I'm talking for the day. Really. When I get up in the morning, if I don't go out of the house, and if nobody don't call me, and if my children don't raise my temperature, my voice don't really work good until maybe about 12 o'clock in the morning. Right? So, honestly, I am in sign language right through. Most of the time, some of you may know me from such famous things as Parliament Channel, The Budget, or TV6 News on a Saturday night. And we will get to interpreting because there was a little hot thing with us during the week. So we will get to that, right? Okay. So just to let you know how many deaf people there are on average in Trinidad and Tobago. And we want to use the right terms. It's deaf, hard of hearing, late deafened, right? Hearing impairment sounds nice. It's a nice word that hearing people like to use, but it puts focus on what people cannot do. Okay? So deaf people like deaf. Deaf has association with it, culture, language, how they behave, and it's deaf with a capital D, not with a small d. Please, for the love of God, no deaf and dumb, no deaf mute. Those sorts of words are very discriminatory, bad labels. Deaf people don't like them, and I wouldn't like you all to use them after I'm finished speaking here. Right? Late deafness people who, as they get older, they lose their hearing, right? Like my mother, she put what they call it, one of those swab in her ears, and she can't hear so well, so you have to call her 2 and 3 times. My husband drives, right? He dropped me to the airport this morning. I had a little deaf incident this morning. My child turned on the volume on my alarm, so I woke up a whole hour later. Right? My husband drove me to the airport, and sometimes people would say, how your husband could drive? My husband could see, and he see real good, right? If we have to drive, I always let my husband drive. I say, Brian, you will send up my temperature. You drive now. I will sleep. You drive, right? Once he could drive, once he's there and his license is functioning, my husband drives, right through. One time we were stopped by the police because he was speeding a little bit. Carnival time now, let's come out. Right, Marlon? Let's come out to work for Carnival time. And he got a speeding ticket. So the police officer stopped him. He said, you're deaf and you're driving. You could read? Thank God was a policeman, otherwise I'd have been caught on. Right? It was nice, right? People in Trinidad use sign language. Most deaf people use sign language in Trinidad. We use a mixture of American Sign Language and Trinidad and Tobago Sign Language because America, for sure, don't have Callaloo, they don't have doubles, they don't have, walk your waistline, them kind of thing. They don't have that, right? So we have to have it in Trinidad and Tobago Sign Language. Right, so this gives you a little idea of what are the components of Trinidad and Tobago Sign Language. ASL, which is older sign language, newer sign language. We have to have our Trini dialect in there. We have British Sign Language because that was one of the first sign languages that came to Trinidad and Tobago. And we also have some French Sign Language where most of the sign languages that follow ASL come from. Okay, so just to let you know about Trinidad and Tobago, there are 3 deaf schools. We have a couple of special schools that deaf people attend. There are deaf-led services. For example, my husband is a lay minister. We are Catholic, so he's a lay minister, his mother and his aunt. Now in his family is 5 deaf people on his mother's side. So he has 1 aunt who could hear on his mother's side. It's his father, is his mother's 3 sisters, and a brother. So we have it strong with deafness in our family, right? We have a couple of deaf organizations that you will see a little lower down. So this was when the school started, I think about 2 or 3 years later. These are some of the first students that were in Cascade School for the Deaf. Very nice old picture. These are the schools that we have in Trinidad and Tobago. We couldn't find one where there was the outside of the Tobago School for the Deaf online. So it would be nice if, we get a picture like that online. That would be good for us to put up. These are the major groups in Trinidad and Tobago that work with the deaf. DEF is Deaf Empowerment and Advancement Foundation, which my husband started along with some other deaf persons. I serve as interpreting officer there. Touch of Christ, where I started to work initially. Deaf Sport of Trinidad and Tobago, they were on CNC3, I think yesterday, for a cricket competition that they had because this month is Sign Language Awareness Month. Deaf Basketball Association, Trinidad and Tobago Deaf Society, Voice of the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, and TAHI, which is on Wrightson Road, where everybody know you go to get your hearing aids and that sort of thing. So we have an important quote here, which everybody needs to know. For people without disabilities, technology makes things easier. People with disabilities, technology makes things possible. And it's true. It's really, really true. I don't know how I would have maintained a relationship with my husband with him going to Australia and we couldn't have been able to Skype or send a WhatsApp or send, not a voice note because my husband can't use a voice note, but you could use Glide. There is Facebook Messenger. There are a lot of other apps that deaf people use to be able to communicate, right? When he goes away, that's the only time I remember I have to get my Skype password. I just never remember. Other than that, I don't Skype with nobody, right? So we just want to show you how things have evolved over time. Everybody, okay, let me just say that. For the people within a certain age bracket who could remember what Nokia used to look like, right? This is what text used to look like long time with a line. Imagine that. I can't even remember having lines, right? So that's what Nokia used to do for us. Then we got with smartphones, then our phones that could allow you to have conversations and everything. A lot of people deaf people use the chat apps for group chat and to sign and to be able to carry on long conversations, right? Now this is what deaf people had to use prehistorically in terms of being able to make a phone call. Now if you were deaf before cell phones, there was a thing called a TTY. Now, to call somebody on a TTY, which is a teletypewriter, you had to make sure the other person had a TTY to be able to talk to them. Now, you pick up the phone, you dial the number, you rest on the receiver, and you type, right? And the phone call was charged at the same price as a regular phone call, an audio phone call. So, by the time you finish type, Mommy, I'm coming to see you. Well, what you're coming to see me for? I need to go by the doctor. You can imagine the price of the bill. right? So that is what deaf people had. There weren't too many of those. Number one, it was expensive to get. It was expensive to pay the bill. Not too many other people had it. What was the point of having it if you couldn't really talk to people that you want to talk to, right? We also have something that we would like to implement in Trinidad and Tobago called a relay service. For example, to be able to make private, personal phone calls. Let's say, for example, a deaf person wants to call a lawyer because they want to secure a divorce. You can't ask your spouse who might be hearing that you're going to divorce them to make the appointment with the lawyer. That doesn't make much sense. However, if there is a relay service, you're able to call into the relay service bank, secure an interpreter, let the interpreter know what it is you want to do. The interpreter would relay the information to the lawyer, make your appointment, and everything goes as normal, right? What is more advanced now is also trying to use your laptops to be able to make that same call, right? So CT will let you all know a little bit more about that and how they are trying to assist us in that regard. Okay, now my husband is a kind of a gaming freak, so he gave us some technologies that they use in games, but that could also be important for deaf people. What the Connect does is that you could sign to the Connect, and the Connect would tell you certain words. It also helps you to communicate with other persons. This last one here with the Google Glass helps you, if you're in a classroom and the person is speaking, it would print on the screen. Now, my husband attended college for a year in New York. And he said, Niobe, college, not even college, education in the States is so different to access compared to education in Trinidad and Tobago, right? When my husband was in school, and I have to say a lot because I'm not a deaf person, I have to give you his experiences. When he was in school, he went to a hearing secondary school. He had one interpreter for 6 or 7 classes, right? Now this one interpreter had to serve deaf people in Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, Form 5. This one interpreter. Now this one interpreter would say, well, okay, Brian, you have Spanish now. I am going down by the girls to sort out them, right? Or he would say, well, I have English now, one of the greatest challenges for deaf people. And say, well, okay, I will leave you to try and struggle with that class for yourself. So my husband did not pass as many subjects as he could because of lack of information and accessibility, and the accessibility of an interpreter assist him in the classroom. However, he was fortunate enough to go away to the States for a year, and he went to college. When he went to college, he told me, you have an interpreter for every single class. When the class is going on and class is finished, you have a note taker. They would take all the notes and pass it over to you. The lecturer gives you a CD, because that was in CD time, of all the notes that was done for the day. So you have the opportunity to review for yourself. There is a section within the campus that says, this is the deaf studies classroom. There's a tutor that works with you, so you are able to access the information that you need, access the education that you paid for, and pass your courses. All right? He came back because it was kind of expensive. These are some newer technologies that may not be so popular. These are things like Marlon was saying again, that hearing people would come up with and say, wow, this is a really great idea. But it does not always serve the function that we would want. For example, these bracelets, you sign and it would give you a bit of an audio, and this is what the person is saying. But English sounds very dead in a computerized voice with no emotion, right? If you have ever seen a deaf person sign and they hot about something, you see it all over their face, right? All over their face, all the hair, all the hand, all the everything. You're getting into it. So you can't be signing and quarreling with somebody and the computer is saying, I can't understand why you came home so late. It's not going to work out, right? So these are some of the new things. So we also wanted to let you all know about technology in deaf education. There is something called a smart board, which some people may know about, that helps to, help you to get more interactive, show more information live. You change it, you flex it to suit your situation. And it would be a godsend in our classroom for deaf people who are very visual. Deaf people are visual. They learn best by seeing right through, right? Every single thing that you'd want to know, they get it through their eyes. And we'll come again to, like I said, about the interpreter, right? Everything that people need to know is through their eyes. So the more visual you give them in terms of teaching, you can't just give them a whole book and say, read this. The English is a great challenge to deaf people. It's a challenge for hearing people, right? Sometimes people write a thing and they have no idea what it is they mean. Like when I have to interpret for the budget, you have to sit down and think, what these people really trying to tell me here? Can we afford to do this, or we cannot afford to do that? You have to understand it well to be able to deliver it. If you can't deliver it, you don't get the information doesn't come across as it should. All right. These are some technologies that are in use now. My husband, like when he goes away, he takes his alarm clock, which you see in the second from the left. His alarm clock vibrates under his pillow, and he wakes up. That's the only time he's wake up without me waking him up. Right? Other than that, I have to wake him up. The one with the green light is this deaf person. He owns his own restaurant, and when somebody has an order, the light flashes, so he comes to serve them. Right? At home, we have a light switch, so when somebody comes to visit, they press the light, so all the adults know that somebody comes to visit. And that's how I know nobody come to see me. Right. Right. There are some other apps that you could use to let you know if what exactly is making noise in your house, whether it's the fire alarm, whether it's the doorbell, whether it's some other device in the house that is emitting a sound that you may need to alert the deaf person to. Right. There are some technological advances where deaf people are involved again. For example, if a deaf player gets to a certain league, you blow the whistle, there's a vibrating device on their phone, so they would know that the referee is calling out to them, right? There are some other things. He told me this glasses in the middle here is quite expensive. The majority of those things, again, are created by hearing people that need to have some more interaction with deaf people to know, is this thing going to work, or how we have to fix it, all right? Right. Very important for deaf people is closed caption, especially in movies or subtitles for movies or whatever. My husband looks at a lot of TV. He likes TV. I don't like TV so much, but he looks at a lot of TV, but he looks at a lot of movies. We have cable at home, but he doesn't watch cable because it doesn't have closed caption, right? When we have to watch a movie, my hands just have to be working all the time because he'd be asking me now what they're saying, what they're doing, once the movie doesn't have caption. And sometimes, even if it has caption, he still would ask me to help, all right? Now, what is good about public emergencies? I want to give you all two examples. I know I'm running out of time, but I want to give you some very important examples, right? Because of technology, the ODPM would send out alerts about hurricanes, floods, that sort of thing. Really, really, really great. But a couple of years ago, there was a state of emergency in this country that was announced just like that, right? And everybody had to get home for 9 o'clock. That same day, deaf people had a football competition, right? And we were all out liming. I was home, right? They went out to lime. And they were unaware of this declared state of emergency, right? So football game finished, well, deaf people don't go home, right? I'm like the lime. So they're going to look to lime somewhere in Sando because the game was in Marbella, and then some of them live in North, so they wanted to go and lime on the avenue and that kind of thing. A police officer passed by and saw these two deaf men walking. He said, "What are you doing here?" They said, "They're deaf." "What it is you asking me?" So what it is you doing here? We have a curfew. They don't know anything about it. So they took them home. But a couple of them got arrested for being outside, right? Honestly, they got arrested because it was an announcement. There was no interpreter on TV to say, well, okay, this is an announcement, breaking news or whatever. for deaf people to be aware, okay, there's a state of emergency, get home for a certain time, right? And that is unfair. How you want me to know what it is going on and you're not making this information accessible to me, right? Okay, very important, without glossing it over, is sign language and interpreter training. And that's because this is the language that deaf people use. This is their first language. Once that is what they come out with, and interpreter training is something ongoing. We constantly try to encourage interpreter training. We had workshops about 3 years ago. We had 3 participants from Tobago. We wanted to make sure Tobago was involved as well, and it went really well. Now, just to give you all a little bit about the news, right? We had one of our interpreters on the news last week, on Friday, on TV6 News, and I'm quite sure all the social media, friendlies here are aware of the song that was being sung. Now, we have heard that the interpreter should not have signed in a particular way. Now, I don't know what you want me to do. If you are singing rubbish, I have to sign that you are singing rubbish. If you are signing that you're feeling horny, and that is what you're singing in your song, what do you want me to sign? Okay? Just give me a minute again, almost finished. Right? What do you want me to put in the song? This is not my job, and I put it up on Facebook today. My job is not to be a janitor for your nasty song. My job is not to be the censor for your nasty song. If your song is nice, well, I will send it nice. If your song is rubbish and it's dirty, I will send it dirty. Right? So, for people who may like to think that the interpreter should not have signed the way she did, calm all yourself. This is not all your place. Know your place, right? My place is to deliver information. If this is the information that is being sent, so somebody asked me, couldn't she have signed, "It is burning"? What is burning? I put on my Facebook post, I said, is Buckingham Palace on fire? Should we call Queen Elizabeth? Should we? Please. We all know what hot, right? Manage. Please don't criticize me if you are not delivering something that you want delivered. Carnival coming up, watch all your contents, right? So, sign language and interpreter training is very important because we have to deliver what is being said. I cannot cut it off. When I go to court and people cussing, I do cuss, but the magistrate wants to know what is being said. I have to say what is being said. I cannot change it to suit the situation. When I go to the police and it's a child sex abuse case, and they want to know what you did to this child, which is something that I had to do. When I finished that interview, all inside my stomach was hitting me because it was sick. It was sick what the person did, and he did something minor. So don't tell me what to say. I just doing my work. Right? These are some websites. One of them is DEF, www.defttt.com, which is very good. We have a whole lot of medical information there. STDs, cancer, all that sort of thing. So if you're ever looking for reference material for sign language about medical issues, is a good resource, but we have some other things too that you could take a look at. We just wanted to insert deaf filmmaking because deaf people now, because of the easy access to cameras, media, social media, are making videos of themselves and the things that they want to talk about and letting their voice be heard. They're not being suppressed by the hearing community anymore. They are using social media to their benefit. Right? So we just want to say thank you very much and thank you for listening.